Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas.
I'm Heidi Henry, and I'm in your face.
I'm Marie Briel, trying to save the human race.
And today, Marie, we're going to talk about a really topical issue to do with labor. You know, we're both union strong supporters, and you've got your Rosie the Riveter shirt on.
I do. We can do it.
My husband, of course, was a union guy till he retired. So let's talk about the coal miners that are blocking the railroad tracks down in Harlan County, Kentucky. Not union workers, not that that would make a difference, but their company, I don't know if you all haven't paid attention to this has been going on for over a month now. There's an encampment of miners blocking a rail station, a rail shipment of coal, because the company that they work for, called the Blackjewel Coal mine, suddenly bankrupted around the 1st of July. And they bankrupted and their paychecks bounced, and they didn't get their last paycheck. Their Blackjewel mine owes people in Kentucky and in Wyoming about $4.1 million in back wages. So if it was me, I'd be on the rail track too.
Absolutely. And the rail line has given their 100% support to the miners on the line, blocking it, even though it's blocking their rail line.
Well, and in Kentucky, they haven't heard from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
Funny, Moscow Mitch has not been down to talk about the blocked track or the...
His opponent has been. She's been down there. Mm-hmm. And the governor, a newly elected governor of Kentucky, also has been down there. So you've got people from both sides of the aisle, so to speak, that have been down there to show their support. But here's the thing. If that shipment gets out, it's worth over $1 million. Only $450,000 of it will go to back wages. The rest will go to satisfy debts for the company. So they'll get a drop in the bucket now. They want to promise another...
So they're currently owed $4.1 million.
Right.
And they're going to get, if that $1 million load
shipment
of coal ever gets out, they are going to only get $450,000 broken out among everyone who would have gotten the other wages.
Right. Well, and some of those wages go to management and people in upper management.
CEOs, executives, board members.
That aren't doing without a paycheck. Didn't do without a paycheck. And then what they want to do is they want the miners to go back to work under another company name. Okay. And after they go back to work, they might get another $1.5 million in back wages. They might.
So the offer on the table from
Get Out of the Way
coal company is if you get out of the way, we're going to have you work for another mine of ours, and we might pay you what we owe you.
No, it's not another mine of theirs. It is
another company.
Another company. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So, but you know how that works, Murray. They go bankrupt, and it's another company that's buying them. Wink, wink. But the management stays the same, and the ownership stays the same. And the little guy at the bottom of the pyramid.
So your technicality was correct. Mine was spot on with.
Yes. The same, So it is you always hear about pyramid schemes. And they always do that with multi-level marketing. It's a pyramid scheme. Every company, especially this Blackjewel Coal mine, is a pyramid, because that guy at the top, he's not missing a paycheck. These people down here at the bottom of the pyramid missing paychecks. And this is in a county where they have 40% of the people are impoverished. The average income per household, not per person, per household, is about $24,000 a year. Now, these coal mining jobs are paying in the 50s, so that's why they fight so hard for them. And it's a generational thing. They were coal miners, their fathers, their grandfathers, or, Pawpaw from way back when was a coal miner, and most of them died from black lung disease. So that's why they fight so hard for these jobs. It's like a tradition to be a coal miner. It's an honorary, like an honor to be one. And they fight so hard for these jobs that are paid really well, but they're going to kill them.
Right.
And in that area, if you're making double what the average household makes, you're living like a king, So just to put it in perspective, the largest occupation down there is like nurses and doctors and healthcare workers, because everybody's sick from the coal mine dust. So anyway, it's a horrible job. I feel really, really bad for them. I can't imagine working over a month, beforehand with a bounce paycheck.
And not getting paid the last when you're losing your
job.
And
now you're sitting there and you don't know if your insurance has been paid. You don't know if your retirement benefits are safe. You don't know. But you do know that when these coal mines go under like this,
they're going to resurface under a different name.
Yeah, and they're going to take all of your benefits, you at the bottom of the pyramid. They're going to take everything with them. They're not going to leave. They're not going to leave you scraps to fight over, maybe a few crumbs.
Now, what could they have done? Right, there is a union out there.
Well, the United Mine Workers used to be a powerful entity, and as different states became right-to-work states, the miners, the United Mine Workers, kind of went away. And Kentucky is a right-to-work state, isn't it? Yep. So what happens is that they still operate without those protections. Now, would it have changed anything in the long run had they been union? I don't know. But their retirement and their health insurance would probably be intact. Right now, they don't know if they're, there's federal claims for payroll taxes, all kinds of stuff going on, but they have no protections. Yeah, also if they were union, they would be getting a stipend for being out, which would help them feed their families in the meantime. A lot of these workers, the original 5 guys that did it, there was one guy and he was joined by another guy and then went up to 5 guys. Some of them have left for other jobs and other places, but there's a lot of activists and stuff. And here's the thing, Marie. All the reports I read about it, they're like, well, this is not political. We're not going to let this be political. This is political, miners. If you happen to hear this is so political because one party has your back and the other one doesn't give a damn.
It is political.
Very.
If your state, like Heidi said, we don't know what would have happened had the United Mine Workers been stronger and not lost
all their
teeth throughout the last 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, last 50
legislative
years.
20 years.
Yeah.
And yet we know that the current party that's in power in the administration is anti-labor.
Well, they've fought for a national right to work bill. They've rolled back protections and privileges for workers across the board. They've made it more dangerous to work there. They've made sure you can't get overtime.
When you have natural resource companies, the oil and gas executives, coming out and telling the President of the United States, we don't want that regulation taken away, which just happened last week.
Right.
It's bad. We don't want that. Leave that in place. How do they care about you? They don't.
They don't
at all. If these capitalistic entities, which are rich beyond their wildest dreams, don't want these things taken back, that's not good.
That's not good at all. I think back at Mother Jones, who helped, was a labor leader. She was a person who was very active in the United Mine Workers. She kind of bounced around to wherever the fight was, okay? And she was outspoken because she had seen what happens when a person's labor is not valued, when you're not valued as an employee. And this is very much what's happened to these employees. They don't value you. They value the CEOs and the investors and the people on the board. They value upper management, but they don't value you who give your life and your lungs for the Blackjewel coal mine. They don't care because you are disposable.
And they don't care about those of you that live in those communities.
Right.
Because they would be taking care of the mines and not rolling back restrictions. So they're pouring chemicals and poison and ash into your streams and rivers and lakes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's another part of this rollback. So they don't care about you working there or anyone who lives in your community.
Or the environment that you're raising your family in. Because as we know out here in LaSalle County in Illinois, where I live, the issues with the particulate matter from frac sand is a huge issue, a huge health issue. We end up with a lot of weird cancers out here and in lungs that turn to cement. And you all know in coal country, and whether it's Wyoming coal country or Kentucky or Illinois, which there's coal mines in my backwoods, there's covered up coal mines back there. But all of us have had to deal with the side effects from living in a coal mining community, and you're raising your children in that very age. And as natural gas and solar becomes more efficient, and wind power becomes more efficient, and natural gas becomes cheaper, those coal mining jobs are still dropping. Now, right now, they're holding steady, but they're about ready to plunge. So.
I just have to say, one of the funniest things in the world that happened about 2 years ago was the National Coal Mining Museum.
I know this one, yeah.
That is to commemorate all of the country's...
Where is that located, Marie?
It's in Kentucky! They are no longer energy dependent. It's a solar-powered museum with its own separate recharging station,
right.
And it's completely self-sufficient, which you're the coal mining museum.
Running on solar.
I'm going to say I think they're catching on to the wave of the future here.
Well, and the thing is that they're really great clean energy jobs. I was just in church today. I was talking to somebody who works in the clean energy sector, and she's, my kid's age and doing very well. And when a lot of my children's friends work in clean energy, either in solar panel installation or windmill installation or management, and boy, they make a really good living. Mm-hmm. Really good living. Better than $50K, let me tell you. If you're getting $50K a year and black lung disease, you need to change jobs. So you need a different job. And I don't care that your papa did it. My papa was a blacksmith. I'm not a blacksmith. He fixed buggies. He fixed a lot of buggies. That was my great-grandpa in Milford, Illinois, Iroquois County. And that's what he did. And so did his grandfather, or his father and his grandfather, clear back to Germany and Prussia, blacksmiths. Guess what? I'm not.
A blacksmith.
So, because I don't want to do that. So, as we go on with this, and talk about these poor people down there. And the thing is that a demonstration like that is where the activists flock. And I just keep thinking about Mitch McConnell with all these progressives heading to Kentucky to help, because you're going to have a huge influx way down there in southern Kentucky of the people who really care about you, and that's going to be the Democrats and the progressives. We're going to fight that battle with you. Right. Shoulder to shoulder. We're helping you fight now by saying, this is outrageous. That mine should not be allowed to reopen under any circumstances until all back wages are paid. Period. That one or the one in Wyoming. It's just serious. It's serious stuff. Workers are more important than what they give you credit for.
And we have to remember we're stronger together than we are separate.
Right.
It's the same as you can bring a lawsuit. Let's say you get some bad medicine, right? Like the Tylenol scare, right? Or when there was...
Well, I would think probably more right now the one we're watching is the one with Roundup.
Okay, fine. Yeah, Roundup. So you can go yourself and sue on your own with your own lawyer and get damages for Roundup. Yeah. But they could, before Roundup case became class action, they very easily would dismiss you. They'd push you off. They'd offer you a tiny settlement.
Because Bayer, which used to be Monsanto, is so huge. It's a behemoth. And little bitty, whoever's got, Farmer Joe, who's got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, his case will be
give him $100,000, maybe $250 if he really pushes,
or dismiss it completely.
Dismiss it completely. Find another reason.
Good luck finding an attorney that'll do it all.
Now, then you take and look at the class action suit, and all of a sudden you have
muscles,
a team, research, science. You've got not just your evidence, but you've got evidence from all the other people who are suffering like you are. And
do you know how many farmers I know that died from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma?
Oh, I'm sure.
And yet they've been dead a long time, so I don't know if we'll be able to tie that into to Roundup. And you know what, Murray? I don't spray it on my weeds anymore. I have to hand pull everything.
I just let my weeds grow. I'm like, you're okay.
My garden to look nice.
If they start to seed, I get worried, but otherwise, no.
So, anyway, but that's a shout out to farmers, coal miners down in Kentucky. We're thinking of you there in Harlan County. Wishing we had some time to come down there and stand with you, but we stand strong with you all the way from here in Illinois, and send our best wishes and strength. And I know Bernie sent you some pizzas. Maybe we'll see what we can send you. So I thought that
some
was
applications for solar energy.
I
jobs.
think that's well. The thing
we
is,
could send them down there for that.
Here's the thing: if everybody leaves, there's no protest. The coal gets out, and this dies. This issue dies. And that's the thing with either Occupy Wall Street or, any of the Occupy movements. You have to stand strong, and you have to stand on your convictions. So why these people go off and find jobs, the activists are there taking your place, fighting the battle for you, so you can work. And I give props to the activists that are down there helping set up Tent City and making sure everybody eats, and winter's coming, We're in September now. So it's just important to know that that's what activists do. I've been an activist almost my entire life, and that's what we do.
Well, there's a lot of different things activists do.
Right.
Not just that.
No, not just that. We write letters, we find funding sources, we find alternatives.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so many different things in that realm.
Right.
But we did a show on activism.
Right.
So we are doing a show on labor.
On labor. So we're going to talk a little bit because it's Labor Day tomorrow. I don't know when you're hearing this,
but we are recording it as of the day before Labor Day, 2019.
So, and Marie and I talked about when we talk about labor, do we talk about women in labor? Do we talk about the labor movement? Well, we already did a union show. Do we talk about minorities in labor? And the thing is that, you know me, I don't like divisions. I like unity. I like to be all activists are activists, no matter who you are. But I'm going to talk about my favorite activist, and that's Frances Perkins. How many of you out there are living on Social Security? Know somebody who's got Social Security, Medicare, okay? Frances Perkins helped write the New Deal for FDR. A lot of people will say it was entirely her idea. She was an activist long before she met FDR. She was a sociologist and studied the labor movement in depth. And what Frances Perkins did was she packaged an issue of social programs to help people recover from the Great Depression going into World War II that helped, like the Tennessee Valley Authority, the Civilian Conservation Corps, all of those things that put people to work for their government. Anybody could have a union job working for the government. And there's so many things to do. And you hear a lot of that now with Bernie Sanders and some with Elizabeth Warren. And the thing with that is they do important jobs. The jobs that they did, with the TVR, Tennessee Valley Authority, the jobs that they did with the Civilian Conservation Corps are things that we still enjoy today. Yeah. Our state parks, our national parks, electricity, all kinds of things. And they modeled it in such a manner that it could keep living on. You can still join the Civilian Conservation Corps.
I did not know.
Well, it's got a different name now, but they still do all that really great work. And when I was a kid, I was going to go do that when I was a teenager. And then I decided to go be a horse trainer instead. So, because that's my job, man. But Frances Perkins brought to us modern social programs that we enjoy and benefit from, and from which other social programs have grown. You have to understand that FDR came in just after the Great Depression, after we went through the Gilded Age, which is kind of what we're in right now, where the people at the top are just living these extravagant lives, and everybody else at the bottom of the pyramid are struggling. And
What? No. I believe Heidi is wrong here. We're all doing wonderful. Bat's Eyes listens to Fox News.
I'm sorry.
Side note.
I think about Betsy DeVos.
She is one of my nemesises.
Well, when you're the Secretary of Labor and you're more interested in the next yacht you're going to build rather than education, a Secretary of Education, and you're worried about, and your money comes from
selling babies.
Well, it comes from very dark areas. Very, subprime student loans. It comes from what is the thing that her brother does with the black
Blackwater
security?
What doesn't he do with that would be a more appropriate question.
So, there's things out there that they do that is so disgraceful and disgusting it would bring shame on our families. But they do it because she's buying a new yacht and she needs some money, so she's going to sell some of these little immigrant babies that we've stolen for some cash. And I think about that and I think how when you have people like that running your country and you don't have people like Francis Perkins and FDR at the top of the country, of course the little guy gets left out. Of course the farmers suffer. Of course the miners suffer. Of course the people who have student loans suffer. Of course the migrant children suffer. We have to do better than that, Murray.
So it is always political. Minors.
It's
this
always
ties
political.
with what we were talking about. If you want to not have, people in charge who sell babies and do all kinds of shady stuff.
Subprime loans.
Then we have to look at this because that's one of our biggest superpowers. As a nation, one of our biggest superpowers is coming together.
Right.
And the whole point of a union is to be stronger together in numbers.
Right.
The same as with class action suits. The same in any case. If one person comes forward, it can be dismissed, it can be displaced, it can be brushed off or under the table. If 10 of us come forward and say this is what's right, then that's what's right. If 100 of us, 1,000 of us.
We always feel like we're alone and we don't reach out. And then finally, when we do reach out, we realize that we've never been alone, that we are all in this together and that everybody's got your back. Those who are in charge now want you to feel alone. They want you to feel powerless. They want you to feel anxiety.
They like to break things like the unions because it's not just about more money, making things cheaper or less quality and making a bigger profit. It's also about breaking that power that we have. They know, the capitalists, those that are not good capitalists, know that it's easier if we go one-on-one with them. That they will win. They have big teams.
Yeah.
They have huge teams with countless resources going against you, an individual. But if we work together, if we are a part of labor in some form, our voices are so much bigger. Our voices are so much bigger than they could be. So think about that.
Yeah.
When you're barbecuing tonight, I'm going to a barbecue. Heidi's going to do water volleyball
with the neighbors.
I was going to say water polo. Anyway, when you're thinking about those things, you're going to be having your beers and you're munching and you're having a great time. But remember,
your mattress sale,
that this nation, the labor movement,
brought you this weekend,
but also brought us together as a nation.
Yeah.
We're stronger together.
We're safer together.
As a nation, we wouldn't have had the advances we have if it hadn't been for labor coming together and making the environment better, making workplaces safer, making wages higher. So it's really important to, even if you're not a part of a union or your field doesn't particularly have unions, give somebody who is in a union a beer today.
Yeah.
Or this weekend.
Well, and I want to talk to you a little bit, just take a minute here, about the history of labor. Since Ronald Reagan was in office, union labor has been cut in half, and that was very intentional when he fired all the air traffic controllers. Yeah. When he
and then passed legislation that said federal workers can't strike.
Right.
Crucial federal workers, which took away the power.
And then at the same time that he gutted the UAW and the U.S. Steel workers by allowing all those jobs to go overseas. That was by design to crush the unions, to be able to control the populace through fear, through poverty. Hungry, scared, sick people are easier to control.
Absolutely. And if they do come forward, it's one against a huge entity against you.
But banding together,
unifying,
yes,
supporting labor or being in labor, are things we really need to appreciate and
Right.
what that's done for us as a nation.
And the thing is that when we talk about the United Mine Workers and we go back to some of the early organizers, which would be Mother Jones, another one of my favorite labor leaders ever. She helped with the American Railway Union, which was the union my grandfather was in. After he was a blacksmith for a while and left the blacksmith shop and went into the union.
Well, because he had experience hammering on stuff, right? Probably with the. Okay, we gotta hit one of my personal favorite labor leaders, and that is Dolores Huerta. She is an amazing woman. Her father was involved in activism. He became a state legislator in New Mexico.
Right.
She grew up fighting for the rights of farm workers.
Well, with Cesar Chavez.
With Cesar Chavez, yes. She was fighting before him. That's
right.
not they say. I don't like it when people say, "Oh, her with him," because she was doing her own thing before she met him. It wasn't like she met him and went, "Oh, a man showed me the way."
They met through activism.
All right. Let's make sure we make that point. She'd already done some pretty cool stuff before she met Cesar. So, hey, Cesar, I'm glad you guys work together. But
and she's still alive.
Yes. She was just recently arrested being an activist in California. Arrested in a congressman's office.
Yes.
I'm like, you're just ridiculous.
Life goals.
So her strike.
When I'm 90.
She had one of the most first effective boycott strikes.
Yes.
And that was against the Delano Grape Company in California. And because of her work, grape growers throughout the entire state of California signed for the first time a 3-year fair wage contract with its workers. So and like that was in 1970, and now in 2019 she's still getting arrested and fighting the good fight 50 years later. How do you not love that?
I absolutely love her. She is amazing.
She's pretty fantastic.
And for our farm laborers, and I don't mean the farmers, I mean the farm laborers, and a lot of it's migrant labor. And while you were gone, we did a little show on the Bracero program, which was when we used to invite foreign workers, to come in and work legally, and how it was abused and neglected. But the reason we need, through the United Farm Workers like that again, but I'd like them to come in through the United Farm Workers to avoid the abuses and neglect that they received before under their program. So anyway, but yeah, she's incredible. And there's a new sheriff in town, Sarah Nelson, who is in charge of the airline flight attendants, the CWA.
And there is another woman, Elizabeth
Nelson, isn't it?
No, because that's
her, Nelson.
Sarah Nelson. Elizabeth, it begins with an S, S-H-S-U, sugar. I'll have to
look it
up. But she is the AFL-CIO's secretary.
Yeah.
And she is also, she's the first woman elected in the AFL-CIO. She's also their CEO of the AFL, an executive officer of the AFL-CIO. And so, rumor on the street is there's going to be a woman as the next head of the AFL-CIO. The current president has another 2 years, but people are already lining up, and those two seem to be the front runners. So,
and they're dynamic.
I don't know. It's only been 100 and how many years since we were even acknowledged as human beings and not being owned.
I told you, in my lifetime, I remember when my mother was able to open her own checking account, when she was able to own, without my dad, and her first credit card, which was, I think, Sears. And the fact that she couldn't really own anything in her name because women, and this was the 60s, early 70s, my mother wasn't educated. She had a master's degree and she was an RN. She deserved to have her own financial control years before, before.
Oh,
she was allowed to, years before.
So these strong women leaders, these strong labor leaders, and funny, the ones we all talked about were all women.
It's not that there weren't any.
There were also men who were very active and involved, but the point is, women are great at rallying the troops.
Yeah.
Women are great at tying things together. Women are great at getting people energized. And
Right.
that's why these particular women that we mentioned in the second part of our show were so amazing. So current labor is moving in that direction again. Right. And no offense to the men who hold those high positions, but it's time that many of the trades are very interested in making sure that we even things out and bring in. But there are still some trades that aren't real receptive to women or people or minorities or different genders.
I told you, we just went through this with my daughter.
Mm-hmm. So, so we have to figure that out. And I think by having women leaders, as we're starting to see more women leaders in county board positions, in Democratic chair positions, in the House, in Congress, this is the way in the right direction.
You know, I've noticed in Congress, it's the women that are making the waves.
Ding! Yeah.
And fearlessly.
Can you name me 2 freshman men? I can name one off the top of my head. Freshman congressman.
Oh, Shaun Caston.
Right. But if it wasn't for
a freshman,
knowing him from being in Illinois politics and what a hot race that was, would we really know much?
Well, because we were both running at the same time last year. Yes, I got to. I couldn't say got to know him, but I saw him quite a bit. And if you're not following Shaun Caston on Twitter, you should, because he is hilarious.
So now, answer me this: can you name me 5 freshman female congresswomen?
Well, the amazing Lauren Underwood, Ileana Omar, Alexandria Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, and who is the woman that was from Chicago, now lives out east? She's my favorite one too, Presley. Isn't it Presley?
Yes.
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 And I told you she was my favorite one of the squad, and then I found out that's because she's so Chicago.
But even past the squad, Katie Porter.
Oh, Katie Porter.
Katie Porter is ridiculous. And these are only a few of the ones that are making waves, asking questions, doing things the way it should be done.
And to a conversation that Marie and I had before we started today, politics has changed. We have people in now that are not politicians, they are public servants. When I was running for office, I was definitely more of the public servant. Well, I'm not a politician. I'm definitely more of a public servant. And I don't laugh at me. I ran because I wanted to change things. I wanted to change things not for me, but for my community. And I felt I still feel very strongly about that.
And one of the things Heidi did amazingly is that she brought people together. She was able to get people excited, people who weren't excited before, because
I knocked on their door.
And she engaged them. And that's what women do. And that's the movement. We talk about how we've got freshmen who are shaking things up, how politics isn't the same. Maybe it's time for the unions to not be the same. We can have our women as they lead. It's going to be an exciting future. So please think about that when you're passing the beer or flipping your burger or
and
volleyball watering.
Well, I know most of you don't know me personally, but I have very arthritic hands, and I can't wait till I wake up tomorrow and they're like this. Too many years of, I know I have rheumatoid arthritis anyway, but I think it's going to be fun. Anyway, but I'll do it anyway because I'm super competitive. Here's another thing I want people to think about. Where are you going to be September 12th? Why is that important? What are we doing September 12th?
Sorry.
Our studio is literally on my farm, and there is
I didn't know I was having some sort of... How dare you give me a pop quiz? You didn't say there'd be a pop quiz.
I didn't tell you there'd be a test later. It is
You're asking my messed up brain.
The next presidential debate.
Oh.
And we've been invited by a couple of counties to go. So if you would like us to come, the Heartland Mamas, to come to your presidential debate watch party September 12th, just hit us up, send us a message, get in touch with us. So far, we've been to Kendall County and Bureau County, and we'd love to go to another county just here in Illinois, because there's only been a couple so far. Oh, Will County.
Will County.
Yeah. So so let us know. We'd love to road trip out to you. And
or if you're an organization, like we have any Illinois Democratic women organizations that are going to be in watch parties, or Young Democrats. We're not that old. Please let us know if you have something you want us to come out for, or something special with all the festivals going on in the fall.
And Murray, here's something I haven't told you yet, so this is a surprise to Murray. I am making a road trip into Iowa, Kansas, and Nebraska in September, and I've made appointments to talk to different Democratic and women's organizations on my way out there to finish up some last-minute things for my husband's aunt's estate. So I will be talking to different Democrats in the really red areas.
Cool.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
I'm jealous.
Well, do you want to come with?
Me sad. No,
there
I
might
have
be
to work.
there might be furniture moving.
I have that other thing like job, too, that makes me work.
I have a job too. I just had to hire somebody to do my job. So hey, if you're in Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and you want me to stop by and talk to you,
let her know.
Let me know.
Reach out to us at heartlandmamas.com or heartlandmamas@gmail, or message us on Facebook, Twitter, and any place else you can find the fabulous Heartland Mamas.
Find our YouTube channel. Find our Buzzsprout, Stitcher,
Apple,
all of those
podcasts.
things. So
all you have to do is type in Heartland Mamas, MAMAS, and you'll find us.
So
please share with your friends. Let them know.
Follow us.
Think about the labor movement and everything it's done. And if you're not in a union, that's great. But if you know someone who is, say, hey.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping protect us.
Yep.
So have a great one.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.